Is there a prompt? There are 6 emergency exits.
Hello, everybody. This is Ron, your captain speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in 6 hours.
7-Footers gang, what is going on? It is Jenna and Jarod here, and we are back with another conference finals playoff edition. But we'll dip right into those semifinals because we got some people to roast and we got some people to praise around here in these streets, right, Jarod?
I mean, as you know, and I always say this, right? Like it's never one person. There's a lot of blame to go around in these playoff streets, but we'll get into it. We had an I was about to say an epic Game 7. I don't know if I call it epic. We had a Game 7 and there was some play. But no, yeah, we'll get into it. And then of course the Eastern Conference Finals has already started. So yeah, we should probably start with the Game 7 that was.
That is right. Fortunately or unfortunately for Clippers fans, we have to jump into the Clippers. Absolutely, we're not going to sugarcoat it, choking in Game 7 of the conference semis here in the West. And the unthinkable for most happened, and that was that the Nuggets pushed it to a Game 7. But then the really unthinkable happened when the Nuggets took the W 104-89. And as you can tell by the basic math there, that is not really a close score. So we have a lot to jump into and dissect. And I'm just going to start it off by saying my 2 cents here, that this was by far Kawhi and PG-13's worst offensive performance, one of the worst, and weighs heavily more on Kawhi for obvious reasons. But the argument that it's their first year together and this and that, I don't see that, because number one, yeah, it's their first year together, but we're not saying that you can't lose the finals. Okay, we get it, but to be booted out of the conference semis.
Well, look, I as usual, I think this is a much more nuanced discussion than it is, the Clippers choked and, all this other stuff. First of all, let's give Denver credit for winning the conference finals and advancing to the conference finals, right? That winning the conference semis, and advancing to the conference finals. The Clippers, in fact, had double-digit leads in 2 closeout games, Game 5 and Game 6, and they led for portions of Game 7. The Game 5 and the Game 6 losses were even more egregious because they were up 16 and 19, respectively, in the second half and could not close the deal. And what that says to me, and Lou Will talked about this in his comments, we sometimes take this stuff for granted, right? This idea of, insert player X and you're automatic title contenders. And look, I'll be the first to admit it. I picked the Clippers preseason, beginning of the year. That's what I thought, right? I figured, you know what? With Kawhi coming in here and with the current pieces they have, this team's going to be excellent. And on paper, they are talented and excellent. But Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas, not 5'9" Isaiah Thomas, Zeke, Detroit Pistons Isaiah Thomas, said this many, many years ago. The secret of basketball is it's not actually about basketball, right? And what he meant by that is that, yeah, talent, of course, matters. You don't have a shot if you don't have talent. But as I always say, everybody in the NBA got talent. When you're at this level of the playoffs, every team is talented. But what propels you in those moments are the connectivity, cohesiveness, and shared experiences you have as a team, right? When the Nuggets are down double digits, they're not fretting or worried. Not because they don't think they could lose, but because they have a combined sweat equity built up among them. Will Barton, who isn't playing at all because he's injured, Gary Harris, Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray have all been teammates together since 2016, 2017. Okay? And Paul Millsap joined them the year after that. So they have gone through games together of the Nuggets being bad, the Nuggets getting to that point where, they're playing above 500 ball. There were 9 seeds a couple years in a row, not quite making it to the playoffs. Then they really sort of hit another level, get up to the 2nd seed, losing the playoffs in a game 7, come back again. They develop that connectivity and cohesion. So much so that Nikola Jokic is getting doubled. He sees a double coming. Harris, Murray, Jeremy Grant, all these guys know where they got to be because they know he's going to get us the ball right in our shooting pocket. We're all good. There is a level of, and after the game, in their post-game interview, you heard them say it, Jokic is like, you're like an old married couple, right? And he was joking, but there is that connectedness that they have of years playing together, right? 4 seasons. You can't just create that out of thin air, right? Kawhi and Paul George and Pat Bev and Montrez and Lou and all them, they don't have that combined sweat equity, right? Look, we were talking about, the Clippers all year acted as though the finals were a foregone conclusion and, they had a very sort of like, this is our 3rd year in a row doing this, like a finals, like kind of like Golden State was in their life, right? Well, yeah, this team's been doing it for 3-4 years, so they get it. Yo, man, y'all ain't done shit. Like, Kawhi has done it. He's trying to repeat and go back to the championship. The rest of y'all, what have y'all done? And we know what, quote-unquote, playoff performances have been like of late. Not so great, right? So this idea that just because you insert Kawhi, it's like add water, stir. Nah, man. And part of the issue is before the NBA shut down because of COVID, the Clippers were starting to get on that roll where it was like, ooh, they're starting to finally understand. They're all playing together. Things are going well. Then COVID happens. And we have 4 months off. So in essence, they're starting all over again, right? Again, the Nuggets, yeah, they had 4 months off too, but they had 4 months off and those 4 years prior to go back to tap into that well. And the Clippers did not have that, and you could see it, right? When the lead started shrinking, they were all looking around going, I don't know what to do. And again, that's because they don't have that shared experience of battling back together as a team. Defensively is what I said to you, Jenna, on this pod, and to many people, is why I like this team to win, the Clippers to win the title, because I thought defensively there's a level they can get to that no other team could. And that is still true from a talent standpoint. However, you know what defense is about? Teammates trusting one another, everybody being connected and on a string. That happens through reps. When you don't have reps, this is what happens. Now, let's also, I'm not letting the Clippers off the hook because they didn't play long enough. Look, you had a 3-1 lead, okay? And double-digit lead late in a Game 5 and a Game 6. So y'all should have been able to close that out. But your inability to do that suggests some cracks at the foundation of your team, right? And that culture and that attitude, and this is where, Doc has to get some blame here. It's like, look, Doc coached his team like they were veterans going for another title run. Yeah, everybody on that team's vets. Only person that got championship experience is Kawhi. The rest of them don't know nothing about no championships. They know nothing about that. So the mindset needed to be much, much different. And it wasn't. The idea was, no worries, we'll be fine. Our talent will bail us out. No, man. It didn't. And the pressure got so tight on them. And, I watched Kawhi's offensive possessions on Synergy again this morning, all his possessions individually. Look, he and Paul George weren't great. Paul George particularly was, whew. But Kawhi got the shots that he wanted. He just didn't go in. Guess what? We always say make-miss league. Picked a bad time to miss, but hey, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Sometimes you miss at the worst opportunity. Those were all shots that you give him those shots again in another Game 7. He likely makes most of them. They win. He just didn't. Hey, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, But it was quite the series. Nikola Jokic was the best player in the entire series. He showed you why he's the best passing big man And, he carved up that Clippers defense. And look, this potentially, I talked about teams going through battles and scars. This could be that first wound, right? Because it's got to be a wound first before it becomes a scar and heals, that the Clippers use to propel themselves into next season, assuming the team stays together as it is, and they go for that title run again, right? It's like, okay, we learned from that, right? Because we played together, and man, this wasn't good. So now we have another year to build off of the disappointment of this current season.
Right, and you have so many points there, and the one that stands out to me most is the fact that there are cracks in the foundation. The Clippers had the chance, they had many chances to close this out. There was a 3-1 deficit. I think that's what's hammering this the most home at one point, but it comes down to the chemistry, in my opinion, because yes, you have the stars, and the stars do what stars do, but that's also arguable as well, because yes, Kawhi and PG are stars, but true stars win you games in crunch time, in clutch. So I also go back and forth with that idea as well. But anyway,
well, I don't think we could PG we could question for sure. Look, go through all of your favorite or the greatest players in the history of the NBA's playoff resume. Everybody's got stinkers in their resume. I don't care who you are. Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, LeBron James, Steph Curry, it doesn't matter. All of them, everybody's got stinkers in their playoff career, right? So this, to me, Kawhi not playing well in Game 7 doesn't now mean Kawhi sucks. Like, that's not, look, sometimes the shots don't go in. You got a bad game. It happens.
Yeah. And you know what? Touche. Good debate right there. It is all about the growth as well. So I like your point. But to the chemistry thing again, because after Lou Williams said we had champion expectations, we had the talent to do it, we didn't have the chemistry to do it, point blank. And then Doc Rivers stepped up and took some of the blame too and said, you know what, I'll take the blame. Coming here was worth it though, and so on. So I chalk it up to chemistry, but we could also chalk it up a little bit to roster changes. What do you think about that?
Look, again, I just think that this team, Kawhi gave them the halo and the glow up effect, right? So Kawhi comes to this team and all of a sudden we're like, ooh, yeah. Kawhi's recent success with the Raptors, and again, even we saw him before that, he had the Kevin Durant Warriors down 20 points in the fourth quarter as a member of the Spurs, right? So that version of Kawhi is who we have in our minds. And he caused us to see maybe less of the warts in the players on the Clippers, right? For as good as Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell are, they are disasters on defense. Literal disasters. And if they are not going to score more points combined than they give up, then, or at least be even, well, then they're useless. Then what good are they, right? If they're giving up more points than they're able to score, that's a problem. And Jokic was killing Montrez every time he had him. And Lou Will, I mean, where was he offensively this series? Not great. Okay. Landry Shamet.
Interesting that you asked that. Yeah. I think he was too busy trademarking Lemon Pepper Lou with his legal team.
It's interesting that you say that, right? Look, I'm not going to go crazy about him going to a strip club or whatever, but on a team that has championship aspirations, when leaving the bubble means that you're going to be quarantined for 10 days and yet all that to come back, that's not the kind of MO you roll with, right? Now, he had an excused absence to go for whatever he was going for, right? But it's like, it just shows, again, I'm not going to kill him for that, whatever, but it's this idea of that became a story, right? And we talked about it, and I was like, oh, Lou and going to strip clubs for wings, and it's just like, dude, that's not the mindset of championship caliber players, right? The other thing there is Paul George. I mean, look, Paul George is the kind of player who gets paid, treated, and talked about like he is a 95 plus rating on NBA 2K. That's how we talk about him. That's how he gets paid. That's how he gets treated by coaches. In actuality, he's probably an 84 and 83, right? And that's not good, right? Like, and so, I mean, look, 84 and 83 is fine, but we talk about him like he's a super duper star. And his playoff performances since he's left the Indiana Pacers have been terrible. Atrocious. Like, and look, he admitted to suffering with some issues, being in the bubble and all that. And hey, that's all well and good. But in sports, man, 99% of this game is between the ears. And if he recognizes that there's something going on with that, ain't no shame, my dude. See a high-level sports psychologist, get your stuff together on that, so you're able to lock in and focus when you're in between those lines, because he's way too talented. And he looked like at points in Game 7, he didn't want to be anywhere near that floor. And some of those shots he threw up, I mean, hitting the side of the backboard, air balls, I was like, what the heck is going on with this dude?
Just not shots that you're going to throw up in a postseason game, let alone, the conference semis, with the game on the line, literally the determination game if you go home or not. So it looked like the Clippers ran out of gas. The Undefeated posted a report that some of the guys were asking for breathers in the fourth. I really don't know what happened here. I can't even.
It's
say
Game
the
7.
Because
breather for what?
It's Game 7.
What breather?
Right. You're playing for your life at this point. This is your life. This is your livelihood. And they just did not show up.
I will also say this. If you remember at the beginning of the season, do you remember there were Jovan Buha of The Athletic, Clippers beat reporter, he wrote a story, obviously, and Jovan covers that team, well-sourced. There were rumblings from certain players, Lou Will, Pat Bev, Montrez, that crew, about the lack of practice time for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, right? In essence, their ability, because of whether it's chronic injury or whatever the situation is, that they don't have to practice and do what is necessary. That makes guys feel some kind of way. And Chris Haynes reported, Brian Fonseca was telling me about this, Chris Haynes had reported that in one of the games in this series, Montrez and Paul were arguing about something, walking back to the huddle, and Montrez said, "Oh, that's right, I forgot. I can't tell you anything," right? Like, and that's the kind of and anyone who's been in any kind of argument with somebody close to them or a coworker, that statement is very telling. "Oh, I forgot. I can't tell you anything," right? Like, what that says is, right, Paul George, in effect to Montrezl Harrell, comports himself in a way whereas he acts in a different manner in that certain things don't apply to him, right? And Montrezl is like, nah, you got to do X, Y, and Z. So there's definitely fractures and fissures here. And again, I'm not saying it can't be fixed, but what this COVID bubble is done, and the playoffs in general, it stress tests you, right? Because that's what it is. It's a pressure cooker and a stress test. And what does stress do? Stress reveals what in fact is truly in there and innate, right? If you're solid, yeah, it's stress, but you're able to push through and overcome. If there's cracks, the stress just puts pressure on those cracks and it breaks eventually, right? And that's what this series did to the LA Clippers. And so much of it, again, is about the chemistry and the connectivity of the team. And this is a team that, in this point in the bubble, they were not connected.
Absolutely not. I mean, you could see it on the floor, within their movement. They were just off completely. I mean, I think we have said it 1,000 times. There's no other way to put it. But quick question, did we hype up the Clips too much?
I think, again, we allowed the halo effect of Kawhi to make us not see some of the warts that exist, right? It's sort of like that idea of, when, like, let's say, like, and everybody's been in this situation, I'm pretty sure, right? Like, you have this on again, off again thing with a partner, right? Like, you break up, you get back together, you break up, you get back together, right? And, like, you convince yourself that, like, this time it'll be different or whatever. And all you're doing is blinding yourself to the problems that caused you to break up in the first place, right? Like, and what I'm saying is that the Kawhi halo and how good Kawhi is and how excellent, how great he is, blinded us to the fact that this is a team that doesn't really have that much championship experience and enough shot creators for themselves and other people, right? And so you see it, and it's like, okay, Kawhi's gotten better at that. Paul George, Patrick Beverley ain't that. Lou Williams ain't that. Landry Shamet ain't that, right? Like, I mean, Montrezl Harrell ain't that, right? You start going, Ivica Zubac ain't that. JaMychal Green ain't that, right? Reggie Jackson ain't that, right? I mean, I named their entire rotation, right? Marcus Morris ain't that. Well, right? So, I mean, that's a problem, right? That is a big problem. And I think, again, do they have the talent? Yes. But talent is not enough. This team was not connected. I mean, I'm beating a dead horse. They just weren't connected. And so we fell into the trap of Kawhi will cure and fix all. And as great as he is, can't cure and fix everything. All that being said, they were still up 19 and 16 in closeout games and could not keep the lead. And again, that's taking the foot off the gas, whatever you want to call it. That is poor play from a team that has championship aspirations. And again, that just shows that their spirit about doing this, what they weren't of one accord. And you saw what you saw.
Well put. Well explained. And you set me up perfectly to my next point about what I may have told you this morning via text. Actually, via video.
Via text video, yes.
Yes. Early this morning when I woke up and took a nice deep breath of air, I sent Jarod an energetic video of myself explaining to these haters and these critics, all two who troll me on my very popular Twitter account, as to why, what separates Kawhi and LeBron James. Because
right.
Everybody has this conversation of who's better now, this and that. I think after Kawhi won that chip in Toronto, people
right.
got real hyped up on the Kawhi claw train because there was a lot of back and forth about that he's better than LBJ. But let me tell you that this series has proved every reason why he's not. Stars on OBJ's level. Or LBJ. Oh my God, I was just watching the Cleveland Browns. That's why. Anyway, that's going to be a good keeper. Stars on LeBron James level, they should be able to perform in these situations, especially with a 3-1 deficit, because LeBron James has done that, I recall. And not to mention, he took the garbage Cavs to the NBA Finals. That means he went past the semifinals.
I mean, look.
And then finals, and then finals. So I'm just saying, they're on different levels. This was a great opportunity for Kawhi to perform well on the highest stage with a lot of pressure on him, arguably one of the highest pressure situations of his career yet, and he's only 29. But what I'm saying is, it's not even that Kawhi had a good game. He didn't perform, or I don't want to say try to help his team win, but his performance did not help his team win. He may have had the heart, the drive, whatever, but it just was not enough. I don't know where he was, and that is just it's just a different level. There's levels to this, Jarod.
No doubt. Look, LeBron is a better player than Kawhi Leonard, but it's not like LeBron is like light years ahead, right? Like, it's not, the gap isn't that wide, right? Look, and again, LeBron has thrown up plenty of playoff stinkers, right? Let's go back to the finals as a member of the Miami Heat against Dallas Mavericks. He was horrendous, right? So
they didn't win him. The big three didn't win their first finals.
Everyone has crappy playoffs. It's just the nature of, like, man, people are good in this league. Now, the area whereby LeBron, and we talked about it, is this creating shots for others, right? And there is a spirit in which LeBron leads his teams and the way in which he empowers his guys, right? And it's because LeBron is also arguably the greatest passer this game's ever seen, right? Like, he's preternatural in that way. Kawhi's not that good of a, he's not on that level, right? Now, yeah, can score, do all that, defend, right? Scoring and defending probably just as good as LeBron, right? Like, but there is that other level of unlocking the game that LeBron's just better at, right? And so that ability to sort of elevate the teammates, that's another step in Kawhi's growth process and maturation. Lest we not forget, right? Kawhi was not the chosen one at 15, coming out of high school, doing whatever. No one thought Kawhi would be this good. Like, not a soul. Maybe he did. That's about it, right? So, I mean, there's still areas and ways for his game to improve. So, this is not a... Look, this is the whole, like, oh, Kawhi, that's just silly crap on Twitter that fans like to get into silly arguments about. Like, that performance by Kawhi last night doesn't make you be like, oh, Kawhi's trash. And that's my issue with so much of, like, sports media and, like, how we have these idiotic debate shows. Like, it's just so stupid. Like, this stuff is so much more nuanced. Like, yeah, Kawhi is still great. He's had a bad game. Like, it happens. It happens.
Couldn't agree more, Jarod. Lighter note, the memes that came out of this Game 7 loss and elimination from the semifinals were hysterical.
Oh, yeah.
A little harsher. Some were more harsh than others, but some of them, oh my gosh. People were going all out. I mean, really getting techie with it. Like, taking splices from LeBron's interviews and, like, putting them into videos and putting, like, words above it like, hey, what's it like to come back from or not come back from a 3-1 deficit? And it's like LeBron James in an interview saying, I don't know, ask Kawhi.
Like, it's listen, we all know in this internet culture, like, jokes are greater than facts, right? Everybody thinks they're a stand-up comedian, thinks they're hilarious. They got right. So it's like memes and jokes. And look, the memes and jokes are funny. I said this morning, like, I was like, man, like, it's almost like what it revealed to me, honestly, was truthfully how shook Laker and LeBron fans actually were by the Clippers, right? Because that's where that comes from. Like, if you truly never thought the Clippers were good, you wouldn't be making memes and going crazy or whatever. You wouldn't even pay them any mind because you're like, they're the Clippers. I ain't sweating them, right? But no, the Clippers are a legitimate threat to, if you're a Laker fan, to the Lakers, and if you're a LeBron fan, to LeBron. Facts, they were. And this is now everybody like, ooh, they were, like, oh, I knew it all along, and like talking all their noise. And it's like, I mean, whatever, that's what fans do. I just don't involve myself in that lowbrow level of conversation.
Right, but you do have a point there. Unfortunately, we won't get to see the Battle of LA,
Nope.
But we are going to see the Lakers and the Nuggets battle it out in Game 1, which happens to be this week after we're recording this podcast. So let's preview this a little bit here. I mean, the Nuggets, they're coming off of 2 tough series of coming back from a 3-1 deficit, and that puts a lot of miles on you, on your mentals and on your body, when it comes to so many games consecutively fighting for your life, per se, career-wise. So let's talk about this a little bit. Are you worried about the Nuggets and their relentlessness? When is it going to run out? Is it going to run out? You know, we have this young team and this young, amazing duo in Jamal Murray and the 7-foot Jokic, who's now taking step-back jumpers. What happened? And... But have we been underestimating the Nuggets?
I mean, we shouldn't be, right? I mean, this is the second year in a row the Nuggets have been a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. So they're clearly very good, right? Like, they know how to win games. And then I mentioned they have that continuity. Again, Murray, Barton, Harris, Jokic have been teammates for the last 4 seasons. So they're growing through the development and growing pains. You know, as an NBA community and fans, we've gotten really spoiled with championships and titles and how teams are winning them, right? LeBron and the Big Three get together in Miami. They go to the finals year 1, win 2 titles in a row, right? We're like, oh, it's easy. Kevin Durant goes to the Warriors. They win 2 out of 3 titles. Oh, it's easy. Kawhi goes to the Raptors. They win a title. Oh, it's easy. No, it's not easy. Like, it's really hard to win championships. Really hard. And all of those teams that I mentioned who won, the margins were so thin. We're all a hair away from not winning, right? We talk about it ad nauseum. The Kevin Durant Warriors were down in Game 7 to the Houston Rockets, right? Like, I mean, there's so much there. The Raptors, if that shot doesn't bounce 85 times against the Philadelphia 76ers by Kawhi in Game 7 and it bounces out, they lose, right? Like, I mean, it's just, I'm telling you, man, these margins are thin. And it's not that easy to win championships. So we should not be underestimating this Nuggets team because they have the sweat equity built up together as a group. Number two, and you know I hate being cliche, but it is in fact true. The Nuggets are on that whole, we ain't got nothing to lose, and nobody believes in us. And guess what? A team that literally thinks that we ain't supposed to be here, no one's giving us a chance, are dangerous because they're playing loose. We saw it in the series with the Clippers. When the lead starts dwindling, who was nervous? Wasn't the Nuggets, was the Clippers, right? Because the pressure is on them because of title expectations. Now, the Nuggets internally, they may think they can win a title, but ain't nobody else out here thinking they're winning any title. So they have no pressure on them from that standpoint. But you know who's supposed to win a title? The Lakers are supposed to win a title. The Clippers are supposed to win a title, right? Those teams are supposed, the Milwaukee Bucks were supposed to win the title, right? Those are the teams that had the pressure. So when you got a team that is literally playing fast and free and loose, and they're like, we're good. Hey. And they're not going to be scared by anything. They're like, we were down 3-1 to the Jazz. Beat them. Down 3-1 to the mighty Clippers. Beat them. All right? So nothing about this Laker team is going to frighten them. All that being said, this is a different animal in the sense that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are a different kind of duo, right? LeBron, if Jamal Murray starts going off, LeBron will ask to guard him, right? And then good luck if you're Denver and you're doing your two-man game with Murray and Jokic. Well, now you got LeBron and Anthony Davis on you. So good luck, right? Two, the Jokic factor. The Clippers had no center to exploit him, right? Anthony Davis will make Jokic guard in space, and that ain't good. If Anthony Davis is who he is, he'll torch Jokic, right? And make him work on the defensive end, which will then take away from his offensive ability. Not to mention, the Lakers can be big. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, JaVale McGee, they're Kyle Kuzma. They're huge, right? So big dudes clogging the paint. Good luck, man. You're not getting these little easy bounce pocket passes. No. Too much size all over the floor. So, I think they're going to be some matchup problems, and the Lakers as a unit are better defensively than the Clippers were. So they're going to play, and they've been playing really good defense in these playoffs. And so, I think it'll be a different matchup. However, if the Nuggets win 2 games and it goes 6, if it goes 7 games, I'm not surprised. It's the Nuggets.
7, I'll be a little surprised and a little scared. Mostly scared.
Because Denver won't be.
I know that I'm not surprised. But it's going to be interesting to see this battle because, like you said, not only it's going to be different, but to see the battle of the big men in Jokic and AD, that is going to be insane. If Jokic can find a way to shut down AD, the Denver Nuggets have already broken the fourth wall, in my opinion, for the most part, other than, the other strong third wall, which would be LeBron James, but there's no really stopping him. It's kind of slowing him down like we always kind of say about his level like KD. And I'm also excited to see Jamal Murray, and because there are going to be scenarios where him and LeBron are guarding each other and LeBron's on him. I'm interested to see how he can keep up or if he can keep up this offensive tear while figuring out the Lakers defense. So we'll see if he can get around that, get some open shot.
Jamal Murray is liable to go for 40 in any game, right? He's just that good. And he'll find his spots and he'll get his shots off. Your Jokic AD thing, Rudy Gobert in the first round basically played Jokic to a standstill because Rudy's so good defensively. If you look back at that series, the reason why Jokic was so good against the Clippers was because he had no Rudy Gobert type of resistance, right? Rudy Gobert, defensive player of the year level player. That's Anthony Davis. So he's basically playing Rudy Gobert with better offense, right? Like way better offense in Anthony Davis. And that, if Anthony Davis is the best player on the floor in this series, it's going to be a quick one for the Nuggets, right? Because that's going to take them, if you're neutralizing Jokic and stopping him from doing what he does best, that's a problem, right? Because then it's really all on Jamal Murray, right? And Paul Millsap and Jeremy Grant. And, if you put them guys against, LeBron and Kuzma and, because of the LeBron factor, you got to give them the edge. But again, Denver has belief, right? Like, and I just said it before, talking about Paul George, 99% of this game is up here in your head. If you think you can win, you got a shot, man. And Denver 100% thinks they can win.
Touche. I agree. Couldn't agree more, actually. And when we talk about the belief and the mentality and the drive and the kind of similar narrative with the Nuggets, it reminds me of the Miami Heat. Not so much the same culture, but the same drive and the same grit and dog and willingness to win. Like, hey, we're out here and we're winning. And that is it. And the X's and O's, we'll figure it out along the way. But those kind of teams remind me of each other in that aspect, which it would be an interesting scenario if it ever did happen. But I mean, again, you've got to get through the juggernaut that is the Los Angeles Lakers.
NBA execs and TV execs are like, oh, God, please not Nuggets, Miami. We can't have that in the NBA Finals.
Can you imagine the world would like spontaneously combust? I don't even know. It'd be insane. But real quick, because you had you mentioned before that the Denver Nuggets, they aren't scared. They're not scared of the Lakers. They're not scared of anyone. They really have nothing to lose. They're kind of playing to just be out here and say, hey, you MFers, we can do this. We can actually do this. All doubters. And speaking of that, after the Game 7 win against the Clippers and sending them home, Jamal Murray says something along the lines of, he calls out actually like a lot of reporters and broadcasters by name. He called Stephen A, for instance, Zach Lowe, and whoever else. And he said, just put some respect on our name, basically. And number one, ballsy with calling out names now, even though Stephen A is Stephen A. But number two, should LeBron and the Lakers be scared? Or is this really, hey, we believe in ourselves? But should they really be scared? Because I think the worst thing that the Lakers could do right now is underestimate them and blow this, and then we kind of talk about it like we just did about the Clippers.
Well, first things first, kudos to Jamal Murray for calling out Zach Lowe and Stephen A. Smith. What that proves is that no matter what the players tell us, they read everything that's written about them. They read everything, and they heard what people say. They may not do it directly, but someone in their group was like, yo, did you hear what so-and-so said about you? Read this article that said X, Y, Z, whatever. And look, a lot of these guys, that's all they need is motivation, right? Look, and to be fair, Jamal Murray, prior to this postseason, he hasn't had much playoff success to speak of, right? Wasn't great last year in the playoffs. He's showing out in this bubble, right? And he stepped up and proved that, the Jamal Murray slander's got to stop. Look, I said it to myself in the group chat with the guys, I got to stop my Jamal Murray slander. This dude is good. He believes he's got confidence, and he is excellent, man. Yeah, he's streaky shooting wise, but man, when he is on a roll, it's like the Human Torch, man. It's like Jesus, and it just brims with confidence. And you saw it in Game 7 against the Clippers, man. He literally is like, ain't got nobody out here to stop me. That includes Pat Bev, whoever. Ain't no one out here can guard me. And that's so kudos to him for believing in himself. As far as the Lakers be nervous or scared, they should not take this team lightly. And I don't think LeBron will. Because as much as all the Laker fans and LeBron fans are like, we told you the Clippers were trash, Kawhi's trash, whatever, and all the stuff that they're saying, LeBron knows the Clippers are not a trash team. He knows that Kawhi Leonard is not trash. So he knows, damn, the Nuggets beat them, came back from 3-1. We got to come focused and ready. And LeBron, I know this. He will be focused and ready, and he will do what he can to make sure that those guys understand, hey, man, we not playing games out here. This is serious business. We trying to win this chip, right? And if we're going to win this chip, it's about the mindset, the connectivity, right? Doing what we got to do on defense, believing that having what Greg Popovich likes to call appropriate fear, right? believing that, the people across the line from us can actually beat us. And once you know that, you'll take them serious. And I think the Lakers and LeBron will.
100%. I mean, LeBron's been locked in the entire postseason bubble, whatever it is, whatever this bubble effect is. LeBron James is locked in, and other people may not be, but that's their battle to fight. But this will be, if he wins it, it'll be his fourth chip, LeBron, and that adds to a bunch of other accolades this season, but we'll get to that later. Real quick, though, on a last note before we close out this one, two different teams. What in the short, really quick, can they do to stop each other? How are they going to have to adjust their games on both sides to really take each other down?
I think, Denver's going to have to do different things to have Nikola Jokic operate with the ball, whether that be in the high post, and so he can initiate offense, and really get the matchups that they're looking for, right? And not get themselves stuck into iso ball, right? Make sure the ball's swinging and moving around and hitting open threes. For the Lakers, it's really about Anthony Davis and LeBron James and them controlling the tempo on both ends. That the pick and roll games, and again, hunting for matchups and weaknesses, right? Like Michael Porter Jr. is on the floor. Like Lakers gonna hunt that, right? Like and get him into foul trouble, and that's the other thing, foul trouble. If Jokic is in foul trouble against AD, it's a problem because non-Jokic minutes are gonna be tough for the Nuggets, really, really tough because Plumlee, that's a drop off from Jokic to Plumlee. I'll just say that. All that being said, I could see this series going 6, possibly 7, but I'm gonna take the Lakers. I'm not 1,000% confident on that pick. But just given LeBron James, that's what gives them the slightest of edges. So I'll say Lakers in 6.
I'm gonna do the same, Lakers in 6. But the difference between our picks is that mine is said with straight confidence, and I have never felt better. So that's that. Let's hit the Heat and Celtics matchup real quick here because that has already started. Miami leads the series 1-0 after an insane, thrilling OT win, and thanks to the guy of the night, Bam Adebayo, had a insane big-time play at the end of the game, big block with the left hand, and Magic Johnson had high praise for Bam, saying something like it was the best postseason defensive play he's ever seen. So, Bam was the hero of the night with, of course, Jimmy Butler, who has been a rock for this team. So I still think the Celtics could have taken it, but what went wrong?
Look, I think this Miami Heat team, man, the Celtics got to one where they were up 8 or 9 or 10 points, but Miami they don't quit, man. They just keep grinding and finding ways to get a couple stops in a row, a couple scores. That 10-point lead's down to 4. They're right back in the game, and you have to just love that about them. And so much of that is, again, what Jimmy Butler infuses, but that is the Miami Heat culture and Erik Spoelstra. They grind out every possession, and they understand it and they compete. It's just constant. They compete every single possession, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. I don't think anything went wrong per se, right? Boston's inability to hold on to the lead, you got to give Miami credit, right? I don't think Boston did anything wrong. I think you got to give Miami credit. Yeah, Tice fouling out late was big because that took away a big body from the rim, so Jimmy could attack, allow Bam to do some things. But look, this is going to be a back and forth series. I think it's going 7. I think these two teams they are tough teams. Jason Tatum was incredible in that game. The leap that he's taken, Jaylen Brown, so good. But look, again, Miami ain't afraid of nobody. Like Tyler Hero almost had a triple-double, a rookie. He played 40-something minutes, and he is not afraid to take any big shot. And that's because Spoelstra and the rest of that team have infused him with the confidence and said, hey, man, you're open, let that thing fly. It's about the spirit and everybody believing, right? Look, on paper, the Clippers are more talented than the Heat, right? Most people would agree to that. But what is it about the Heat? There is this spirit and feeling amongst the group of, yo man, whatever it takes, we're in it together. I got your back, you got mine. Clippers didn't have that. That wasn't there, right? They're infusing each other with this level of you just watch the body language after timeouts, after plays. You see it, right? And you feel it. And that's fostered by the Miami culture. And, Jimmy, we talked about this last time. For an 82-game season, there's a million players, not a million. There are a lot of players you're taking over Jimmy Butler, right? Just because they're better, right? Like, wherever you want to talk about. For 16 games in the postseason, though, the list of people you're taking over Jimmy Butler ain't that big. I'll tell you what. Of people in the playoffs right now, so that means that are currently still alive, so that doesn't count Kawhi since he just lost. You're taking what? One? LeBron? That's probably it, right? And it's not because Jimmy's particularly an A+, he's the best scorer, or he's the best. Jimmy will do literally whatever is freaking necessary to win. Oh, you want me to shut down this dude for 4 possessions in a row? Cool, I'll do that. I haven't shot the ball in 10 minutes. You want me to take a big-time 3? Cool, I'll do that. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, he'll go do it. And that type of temerity to do whatever is necessary. When you got your guys with you and they see that, they're like, of course you're going to fight over that screen harder. Of course you're going to dive on the floor for that. Like, right? You're going to feel that. And that's what the Miami Heat have. And Jimmy is their Swiss Army knife, literally do it all, whatever is necessary. And I'm telling the Heat are such a fun team to watch. Their offense is so interesting because it's so varied. It's got a little bit of Golden State magic to it in terms of like the off-ball action and the cutting. Look, again, Celtics on paper, right, between Tatum, Brown, Kemba, right, the talent level is higher, but the Celtics are also a connected team, right? So I think this will be a really good series, and you probably got the two best coaches left in the postseason coaching against each other in Spoelstra and Brad Stevens.
Right. I mean, no one really talks about that either. The two impeccable coaching matches that we have going on down in the bubble between the Miami Heat and the Celtics. So good point there as well. And it's telling to Jimmy too how much of a good teammate he is, because even after the game, Jimmy's the star of that team. He gets the post game interview on national TV, and he gives all the credit to Bam, rightfully so, but he says he's the heart and soul of our team. To have somebody who's alongside of you speak of you in that way is incredibly meaningful. It's super humbling, and it's telling to who Jimmy Butler is, and it's telling to the camaraderie that this team has, the culture, and we go on and on about the culture, but it's just impeccable. I mean, I want what the Miami Heat has in my daily life of romance, which is non-existent, but still, thriving one day. My friendships, my work relationships, my job. I want to drink the Miami Kool-Aid. I really to have confidence like Jimmy Butler has to say, okay, you want me to take this shot? Like you just said, you want me to do this? You want me to do that? Okay. All right. I would have to probably have like 3 panic attacks, calm my heart palpitations down, stop sweating, and then slap myself in the face a few times, and then probably call my mom. And I don't have the time for that. So that's exactly why I'm not out there doing that. But
the big thing,
hey,
the other big thing is that Jimmy doesn't care necessarily about like scoring 30 points a night or like that. None of that shit matters. Like it just doesn't. Like Jimmy looks at one thing at the end of the game: win or loss. Right? Like, and did I help and do everything I could to help my team win? And listen, he's in so many ways, and it's because of him coming in without the fanfare, right? Being literally a no-star recruit, playing JUCO, going to Marquette. Like, he is a grinder and a worker. And that's all that's all he's about, like working as hard as he can, because look, we've talked about this a million times. There's not a million, but a lot of dudes in this league got more talent than him. How many dudes work as hard as Jimmy Butler? Right? Like, and that's the thing. And it's a sight to see, man. It's a sight to see.
It truly is. I mean, to see this man go off every single night the way he does is great. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Dwayne Wade. We talked about that before, and they're very good friends. Dwayne Wade was on the Miami Heat. If you didn't know, I really hope everybody hearing this knows that. But yeah, and let's just go right into the notes and news that we have here going on, because a lot of news dropped this week. So don't you guys worry. Our new gossip segment, loving the bubble. We're still trying to figure that out. Bubble Bay. I don't know.
Bubble Bay.
Right? But we will be back next week with a fresh recap of what's going on. You guys already know you saw your girl Winnie Harlow down there with her boy Kuz. So let's drop some notes here, right here. So we have the all NBA teams. They were announced, the rookie teams, and first, second, third all NBA. Jarod, I saw this announcement.
Oh Lord, here we go. Here we go.
I know. Actually, this is a compliment for you.
Thank you.
Even though LeBron James made it.
Yes, I was waiting for that.
But this is your favorite. This is your favorite thing. This is your favorite accolade. This is your favorite happening within the NBA besides the finals. Basically, this is your beat.
No doubt.
So I'm happy for you. Are you happy with the teams? I'm gonna let you even break it down here.
All NBA, yes, Jenna, you are correct. This is my favorite award because it really defines how good you were for that particular season, more so than even All-Star, because All-Star has fan voting. And this is not, I'm not crapping on fans, but listen, most fans, you just vote for like popular guys and who you like, not necessarily like who's actually good. For the most part, I'm still mad about what?
Bradley Beal.
Listen, I gotta give kudos to LeBron James. He and Giannis, by the way, unanimous All-NBA first team. Shouts to both of them. But this is LeBron's 16th All-NBA team. He's made All-NBA team every year but one of his 17 years in the NBA. That is outstanding. He broke a tie for most All-NBAs with Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for most in league history. That's just phenomenal stuff. And you guys know how I feel about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the accolades, and Kobe and Tim Duncan, all-time great players. And this is not you guys know. I always say this. Kobe is not a top 5 player, and I don't know how to explain this to you people. He's not. And okay, if you think that he is, then Tim Duncan's also a top 5 player, right? So and if you should look at any observable metric, it will tell you the same. But move that to the side. The first team I really had no issues with. Giannis, LeBron, James Harden, Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis. LeBron and Anthony Davis teammates on All-NBA first team. That's outstanding. And Luka's first All-NBA first team, and whoo boy, like first of many. I have no quibbles with that. Listen, the All-NBA is a regular season award. Remember that, right? So yes, you could talk about James Harden flaming out in the playoffs. Listen, regular season, he is who he always is. The second team, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Pascal Siakam, Kawhi Leonard, Nikola Jokic. People may quibble with, first of all, Chris and Dame locks, no problem. Some people may quibble and say Pascal tailed off second half of the year. He had a great first half of the year, so I have no issue with this. Kawhi second team is also good because Kawhi doesn't play enough regular season games to be on the first team, so that's fine. And Jokic, we already talked about him, best center in the league right now. Third team is where I have a little bit of an issue. Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, and Rudy Gobert. No problems with Tatum, Butler, or Gobert. Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook, though? Look, Russ is getting this reputation thing, and Ben, we know what Ben's issues are. Look, Jaylen Brown could have been ahead of those guys. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, the third team that was a little bit tough for me. But kudos, because All-NBA is a hell of an award and a hell of an accomplishment. And, because basically what you're saying is those are the 15 best players in the league, right? And it's outstanding. Those guys really, really, again, my Simmons and Westbrook, but everybody else, well deserving. And And we're starting to see, while LeBron is still there and all that, we know he had injuries this year. Kevin Durant's out, Steph Curry, Blake Griffin, Kyrie, all that. But we're seeing a changing of the guard, right? Like Luka Doncic, right? Giannis is now going to be a mainstay. Jokic. Listen, Jamal Murray keeps playing like this for a regular season. He going to be next on this list and bumping people out. So, it's Pascal Siakam first time. It's Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown had a great season for Boston. This is an awesome, awesome achievement. And, kudos to all the players making all NBA. It's a hell of an honor. And, this league is in great hands. We have so much talent up and down. There were some glaring not omissions because they were, obviously not good enough. Joel Embiid, nowhere near this list. And that's telling, right? That is telling. We always say, Jenna, there's levels to this. And if you want to be the best of the best and among the all-time greats, man, it's night in and night out. Stan Van Gundy said something to me interesting. I was talking to him the other day, and he said, when most fans watch a basketball game, it's the amazing thing that the great player does that captures your imagination, your attention. But Stan's like, that isn't what makes them great, because that's a one-off, right? Or every once in a while they do something amazing. What makes the great players great is they do the simple, basic things every single time, right? That's what the greatness is. The routine play every time without fail. That level of consistency is what makes you great, right? So many guys have had flash moments where they scored 50 in the game or done the incredible feat in the moment. But what makes you great is consistently doing it. Doing the simple thing, night in, night out, night in, night out, night in, night out, and then showing up in the playoffs. Also, and that's why, a guy like LeBron, Chris Paul, hell of a season for the 35-year-old point guard, all NBA second team. That's greatness, right? The consistency of doing it over and over and over and over. And that's why in any field, not just basketball, there's only so many greats, because it's fucking hard to do that shit, right? It's real hard, to be that consistent.
Hey, 80-some game series, 82 game season. What is it? 82, 84?
82 game season.
Yeah.
82 game season, then the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, to do it night in, night out, what you just said struck a real strong chord with me. You're right. It really is that consistency.
It's consistency.
Even if it is the simplest of moves, because it creates trust. It creates the kind of trust that says, okay, they can handle this. They can do this. I know for a fact that they've done this every day and they can do it this time. It's trust. It builds trust. So I have the same quarrels about the list with you. I don't think there were too many snubs. I think we were able to see a lot of guys shine, because a lot of guys are unfortunately out or chose to be out or are injured, which, again, no shade to them. I wish everybody the best. I can't wait to see players like Katie and Steph and Kyrie back on the floor. But this gives us a real time to talk about, like you said, the league is in good hands. We have a lot of these young stars. They're getting they're passing the torch, as you said, and I think that was a great way to put it. So again, kudos to everybody. Real hard list to make. Real high praise for those who did. So I think it's great. And NBA All Rookie First Team, guys, no secret that Ja Morant's on there, Zion Williamson. We have Kendrick Nunn, Brandon Clark. Who else do we have here? Erik Pascal. So I don't have a problem with that list either, really.
Nope. All rookie teams, all good with me.
Right, and Ja Morant was unanimous, but that's
Rookie of the
not
year.
a shock.
No shock there.
Right? So, gotta love that, too. And we wish we can tackle everything for you guys every week, but that's why you gotta keep coming back for more.
You got it. You guys know where to find us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, at 7footerspod on Instagram. I'm sorry, on Twitter, at 7footerspodcast on Instagram, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemon Selly. We'll be back next week with conference finals.
Ooh, it is winding down. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. I'm so excited. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Take care. Peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back. I don't wanna trap, what some man gon' do? Chevy told me come